Alright y'all, I'm wearing my Don't Mess with Texas shirts. Y'all know what that means. Don't mess with me today. So it is time for a little family meeting. So recently on one of my videos, I was called something to the effect of a trans caricature. I initially made my YouTube channel because growing up as a 14-year-old trans kid, I had no resources of trans people in the world. I had very, very few things that I could pick and choose from to represent my transition or to guide me throughout my transition. So for that reason, I now make that content. I make femininity content. I make makeup videos, and I'm happy that I can provide that for some of you. It's not my whole life, but it is my job to be here, be a friend to trans people, and maybe help entertain or educate other people that are watching, help them become a better ally, and I'm so glad that can be what I call my job. There's so much more to our existence on this planet than transition. In my day-to-day life, I never talk about being transgender. I'm not ashamed of it, but I don't live in, I don't know, New York or LA, so it's not the most widely accepted thing ever. So I don't talk about it, and it doesn't fill up my day-to-day life because I don't think about it anymore. The only time it gets brought up or that I'm thinking about it is this channel. So just like every other human, every trans person is going to be different. We're all gonna have different experiences. We're all going to have different opinions, but this is going to be my video telling all of you what it's really like to live as a transgender woman. The things that are going on inside of my head, the journeys that I've been on, the mental gymnastics I've had to go through to get to where I am today. I'm also going to be painting my face in this video, so if you want to see how I accomplished this look, then please make sure you keep on watching. And before I dive into this video, I do have a word from our wonderful sponsors over at Catch Beauty. Hi there! If you know me, if you've been following me for a while, then you would know that body hair removal and permanent body hair removal has been a huge roadblock in my transition. For years, I had to shave my arms, my legs every single day if I wanted a smooth result, and I had already spent thousands of dollars hand over fist at salon and electrolysis lasers on my face and my bikini, so I was just not interested in spending that money on my whole body. So I did some research, and that is when I found Catch Beauty's at-home IPL laser hair removal device. This laser is my top recommended method of permanent hair removal and permanent hair reduction. Like I said, used to have to shave my arms like every single day, and you can see here I have no hairs. The ones that I do are like blonde hairs that wouldn't be picked up anyway. With our IPL handset, you can get salon quality results at home for a fraction of the price. Also, it's in the comfort of your own home, and you can use it anywhere on your entire body. Instead of booking a section for your calf and then your thigh and then your tummy and then your chest, girl, you would be in a salon for years. On top of their incredible products, I really love what Catch Beauty stands for. They have been supporting the trans community since day one, providing us with resources. Catch Beauty wants to help us through even the hairiest parts of our transition. So whether you are trans, not trans, man, woman, somewhere in between, if you want permanent hair removal and permanent hair reduction, I highly recommend you click the link in my description box down below, check out the Catch Beauty at-home IPL laser hair removal device, and use code ROSE to get money off your order. Thank you so much, Catch Beauty, for sponsoring this portion of today's video and supporting trans women like me every single day. And without further ado, let's explore the reality of what it means to be a trans woman. Okay, so you want to know what it's like to actually be a trans girl? Let's get into it. I'm not going to talk about any of the products that I'm using. I'll link them down below so you can check them out if you're interested, but I'm just gonna paint my face and talk with you. I'm gonna try and do like a more natural look today, but we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so first things first, I want to say I truly feel like cis people, non-trans people, care more about trans shit than trans people do. I'll be honest. Let's talk about Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney is a TikToker. She transitioned just over a year ago now, and she documented her whole experience transitioning from male to female pretty much over the course of 1 year. And as a lot of older trans women will tell you, Myself included. I mean, I transitioned 10 years ago and that's still pretty recently, but girls nowadays, they transition in 24 hours. They transition in 24 hours. But that is neither here nor there. I am not hating on her whatsoever because, like, girl, if I could have done that, I would have. So Dylan Mulvaney got a deal with Budweiser. And Budweiser, as I'm sure most of you know, is maybe a little bit more of a right-wing beverage. If beverages can even fucking be right-wing, bitch, but it's really enjoyed by right-wing people. Now, keep in mind, Budweiser has done Pride collections, they've done a rainbow can, they've done like all kinds of stuff. So this is not their first time supporting the queer community. But people hate trans girls, particularly trans women. I mean, like, not people hate people for all sorts of reasons. People hate queer people in general, but I gotta say, I think trans women are really at the base level, like one of the lowest of the lows. And to be honest, Black trans women unfortunately have it the hardest. Now, I will say T.S. Madison had a great take on this, and she talked about how Black trans women have been here for forever, but they aren't acknowledged whatsoever by the mainstream, let alone any white media, which is the mainstream. That aside, I suggest you go and check out her Maddie in the Morning show on all of that. But I really feel like all these cis people are talking about trans shit 24/7, more than I'm even thinking about it. I'm trans. My whole platform is based off of being trans, and I follow all this stuff. I see it probably less than some of you people see it. Probably less than some of the allies see it. But that's number one. I think the first thing to know about being a trans woman is that everyone else around you has likely already gone through, at this point in time at least, has already gone through all of their possible feelings towards you. I transitioned at 14, that was about 11 years ago. And when Caitlyn Jenner came out, everyone was asking me, what do you think about Caitlyn Jenner? What do you think about Caitlyn Jenner? What do you think about but to be honest, my answer hasn't changed, and I think you all know my answer. But the thing is, I'm not keeping up with Caitlyn Jenner. I'm not keeping up with all of these people or all of whatever, just because it's not like, when you start your transition, you follow so many trans people, and I'm sure so many people who follow me, thank you, are potentially earlier in their transition or are just looking to have camaraderie, and that's great. But when you're trans, it sort of becomes, any news about trans people, good or bad, tends to just, maybe it's just me, because when it comes across my feed, whether it's good or bad, I don't want to hear it. And that comes from a place of privilege for sure, because I'm well aware of how awful things are in other parts of the country. I mean, I'm on the board of directors for a major healthcare organization in my area that provides so much gender-affirming care to queer people. So I'm doing what I can, but I'm trying to just tune it out. Because, bitch, even my comments, I try to get back to you guys when I can, but usually you have the best chance of hearing from me within the first hour of posting. Or maybe 5 hours of posting. Because when I say that cis people care more than trans people, it's because cis people are searching trans women. All of my content, as you know, which I talked about in the beginning of this video, all of my content is trans related. So when there is a straight man or a straight woman, whatever, commenting, be like, God said this and blah, blah. Did I fucking ask? Also, why are you searching transgender on the internet? Why are you searching all this stuff up? Just, if you don't like it, shut the fuck up. When I am searching something, if I come across some shit that I don't like, unless it is violating the rights of a human being, I scroll by. I just don't care, because if I don't like it, I don't want to spend my time on it. Well, babe, don't you wish that people would just shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
I've been screaming at the camera.
About what?
Just trans stuff. Well, I'm talking about how cis people tend to care more about trans issues than we fucking care about it. Where, like, if someone, all my content on YouTube is trans related. People go out of their way to find my content and be like, God said this about whatever. Why do you care? Who gives a fuck? If I find something that I don't care about, like if I disagree with something, if it's not violating human rights, bitch, I scroll past. Because
Yeah.
what am I gonna spend my time doing that for? Like, grow up. And then I'm talking about the whole Dylan Mulvaney Budweiser thing, how trans people, we're not talking about it. Whether we like her or not, we just don't care. It's just people that are like, oh, my fucking beer needs a fucking queer agenda. Like, get a grip. Get a grip on reality.
Yeah, I think people just need to make a fuss out of things now.
Yes. And
they're really, really accustomed to making a fuss out of it.
Yeah, well, it's the Fox News, the Tucker Carlson, R.I.P. baby. It's all of it. It's too much.
Brit Bozo. Oh man, that's so satisfying.
I know, it's the Ben Shapiro's of the world. Future video, bitch. Girl, I can't wait to get my hairline transplant. Should I get, here's the reality of being a trans woman, bitch. Should I get a hairline transplant first because I hate my hairline and I want it to be more like here? Or should I get my forehead and like nose done and then get that done? I don't even know if I'm gonna get the forehead and the nose done in general, but if I'm going to, I have to do that first because I want the transplant to like cover the scar or whatever. Anyway, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it feels so isolating, where it feels like the whole world is against you, and at least I feel like I need to hide. I feel like the whole world is against me, that if I say that I'm trans, people are gonna freak out, think I'm a freak, they're gonna whatever, and that's not the case, and we need more visibility for that not to be the case. But bitch, I'm trying to live my life. I'm not trying to trailblaze everywhere I go. And so that is where my content comes in. I'm just gonna touch on this briefly because I have more to talk about, but you know, my content is exclusively trans related for the most part. And I've had some people be like, Victoria, like, why do you only talk about being trans? Get a new personality trait, get a new whatever. Bitch, I have plenty of personality, ho. But when I post shit that's personal to me, or when I post a more like one-on-one situation or something that's just not about being trans whatsoever, no one cares. And that's fine. I built my whole platform on being trans, but it's a job. It's my job. So of course I'm gonna keep on talking about what made me money. But when it comes to wanting to hide, then there becomes an issue, because I can't hide and then also do this. Because if I talk to anybody, they go, oh, what do you do? And I say, I do, sometimes they'll try and like bend the truth a little, and I'll say I do social media marketing for companies, which is kind of true because I do, I mean, y'all saw the ad. But if I say I do social media, they then ask, oh, what do you do on social media? And I tell them that I'm trans, or just whatever else. It gets brought up. Someone meets me, they want my Instagram. It just becomes messy. Here is another fact of life of what it's like being a trans woman. Transitioning takes so long that it's easy to see yourself as a perpetual work in progress. So I am 11 years into my transition at 14, I'm now 25. And although I have had, I mean, I'm sure y'all have heard from all my videos, I've had a tracheal shape, I had my breast done, and I had bottom surgery. And for the most part, I should be done, you know, but I can't help but think, what's the next step? You know, what do I have planned next? You guys just heard me talk about getting my hairline lowered or getting my forehead shaved. And that's why it's important for transition to not be your only goal. Before you transition, it's very easy to feel like the only thing that matters in my life is that I can transition. And I understand that, and there is validity in that. But once you get there, you're transitioning into the person that you want to be, not just a woman or a man or whatever. You're transitioning into your future self. So there has to be more substance than just, what do I want to look like? Because unfortunately, that was a large part of my life. I wanted to be gorgeous and beautiful and energetic and happy, and I don't need to live long as I have all of those things. But that's not how I feel now, as I'm only 25, but as I age, that becomes less important to me. As I progress into my transition, that becomes less important to me. Not only does that become less important to me, but my transition the fact that I'm trans becomes less important to me. So when people comment shit like, you know, why do you only talk about being trans? Or real trans girls don't actually think about this all the time or talk about it all the time. I know. I fucking know. I'm doing it because this is my job. I don't think about being trans most of the time. I don't talk about being trans. It actually makes me really uncomfortable to talk about being trans. Moving on to another point, there's a term for people who get Botox and fillers regularly, and it's called getting filler blind or filler fatigue, but just like going filler blind. And that means when you get to the point where you see yourself with so much filler in your face that it becomes normal for you, that you don't see this sort of amorphous, inhuman looking face that you have constructed. I think about like makeup artists who have so much makeup on all day, every day because that's their job. They want to, you know, whatever, they're adding on more makeup throughout the day, they're trying to showcase it, whatever. And to them, it looks like a very normal amount of makeup, but to everyone else, they have a beat face with cut contour, highlight, smoky eye at 9 a.m. The same thing is true for trans women. Or like, not always, but it can be true for trans women. So sometimes when we transition, we keep going for so long that we no longer realize how feminine we look, and we start taking it to the next level. And that's when it starts to get a little odd. So you ever see girls who you know that they're trans, not because they look manly, but because they're so surged out. That is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you just become blind to it because the dysphoria is so strong. And I get it, obviously. The dysphoria is so strong that it tells you that you look masculine even though you have hips wider than your shoulders and giant breasts and this teeny tiny little button nose. You still in your head think you look masculine when it's not the case. There is such an insane pressure for trans women to look even more feminine than cis women are expected to look. And now listen, I'm not trying to discredit the struggle of cisgender women. They have it unbelievably hard. What I am saying is transgender women are expected to not only look as good as a cisgender woman without makeup on, but we are expected to look like a celebrity. We are expected to look like Kim Kardashian, like Marilyn Monroe, like Angelina Jolie, like Nicki Minaj, like Beyonce, like any of these people. You're expected to look like a supermodel at all times, and that's not realistic for anyone, including those celebrities. A main part of that really is because of transphobia and because people want to say, well, if you want me to respect you, you have to look like a woman. They don't understand what goes into that. They don't understand that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes of dollars go into just existing as a transgender woman. We're moving on to the blush bit. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about products in this, but this Juvia's Place blush. Get the liquid Juvia's Place blush. I was really on the fence of getting it, and I'm so glad I did. When I say that trans women are women, do I mean that we are the exact same as a biological woman? No, I do not. Does any trans person feel that trans women are the exact same as biological women? No. I would say 90 to 99% of us do not believe that. In our society, no matter if you are born with XX chromosomes and all primary and secondary female sex characteristics and whatever, if you don't look feminine enough, people are just going to assume that you're a man, because our society operates on a visual, emotional, mental level. We're not examining people's chromosomes. We're not looking between people's legs. You look like a woman, you operate like a woman, you identify as a woman, you are shaped as a woman, bitch, you're a fucking woman. There are so many definitions to women. I'm not saying that I get my period, because guess what? Not every cis woman gets her period. Not every cis woman is fertile. And also, not every male has XY chromosomes. Not every female has XX chromosomes. Whether you have any kind of issue or not, sometimes it just happens. So I really wanted to be clear that for the majority of transgender women, being trans is really a non-issue. I'm not sitting here all day thinking about me being trans. I think the farther that we get into transition, the less we think about being transgender. Let me explain. When I first transitioned, or before I transitioned actually, I thought about being trans 24/7, and I think that's the case for most people. I was thinking about living my true life, my authentic trans life, 24/7. Now, once I transitioned, the need to transition became less. And by that I mean socially transition, because people understood me to be feminine. Even if they didn't see me as a woman. I was 14 and I was a kid in high school, so of course I got bullied. But of course, when I was planning procedures, when I was going to doctors, getting all this paperwork filled out and all sorts of stuff, of course I did think about being trans then. But as those have passed, as I no longer am working with insurance and those doctors, I no longer was constantly ruminating on the fact that I was transgender. And really this all ties back into what I said at the beginning, that cis people think about being trans so much more than trans people do. I'm living my life. I'm just trying to enjoy my coffee in peace, and then I open up my phone and I see a bunch of comments from people from the Bible fandom telling me that I'm going to what their book calls hell. And I'm like, I have never read that. I've read like excerpts and stuff from the book, but I'm personally not a part of the fandom. I am a little nerdy, not to sound like Jennifer Lawrence or something, who y'all know I can't stand, but it's true. I'm a little nerdy, you know. On my off times, you'll probably see me playing, well now actually Pokemon Stadium, because it's out on the Nintendo Switch online, honey. But like Disney Dreamlight Valley or Animal Crossing or Mario or whatever, like you'll find me watching stupid shit, playing stupid shit. Like I'm not talking or thinking about being trans. I am showing the world, I am showing particularly, I don't care about anyone else in the world, but I'm telling my trans sisters that we're here, that you can reach the point to where you're done. You can reach the point to where you're satisfied. That there are people out there that are giving you these tips for femininity or for transition or for surgeries or for anything else. I just want people to know that they're not alone. If that means that I'm going to have some people commenting that I need to stop talking about being trans or that I'm a caricature of a trans woman, that's fine with me. Because you know what? I used to have trash thrown at me. I used to be spit on. I used to be shoved against lockers, whether it's from trans people, cis people, or somewhere in fucking between. I am no stranger to bullying. So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll take the hits. If someone wants to say that I'm going to hell for being trans, if someone wants to say that I'm a bad example of what it means to be trans, they can go ahead and say that, because this is my creation, it's my channel, and I have already dealt with the worst of the worst. So anything else is a drop in the bucket. So what is it like to be a trans woman? It is pretty much the same as it is to be any other woman, especially the further you go on into your transition, the less you think about being transgender. I am making content for a very specific demographic, and that's it. Like, you don't go onto the History Channel and go, all you talk about is history. You don't go onto the Sci-Fi Channel and go, all they play is sci-fi. It's like their whole life. yeah, obviously that's the channel. But I would really appreciate it if you would let me know in the comments down below any sorts of videos that may not be trans related or may still be trans related, whatever, that you want to see from me, because although some of the comments might trigger me, I do look through almost all of them and I try to get back to you when I can. Thank you all so much for spending your time with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It helps on my channel so much. You are all amazing, and until I see you next week, good luck. I love you. Bye.